Been together so long we can't pretend. Remember the way we used to move, dance all night like young lovers do. Your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, he'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me, baby. Smoke and mirrors, pretty lights. Another runaway city boy getting too high. But boys like you tell pretty lies. The 5 a.m. low in your eyes says your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, you'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, you'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Under those lights, you turn it on right. You're on fire, baby. Still drinking too much has got you losing your touch tonight. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, he'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me, baby. Smoke and mirrors, pretty lights. Another runaway city boy getting too high. But boys like you tell pretty lies. The 5 a.m. low in your eyes says your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, you'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, you'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Under those lights, you turn it on right. You're on fire, baby. Still drinking too much has got you losing your touch tonight. Now we don't dance like we used to. Broken records on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, he'll get me through it. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, he'll get me through.
This is Broad Radio. For you, by you. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Hello and welcome to Broad Radio. I'm Jo Stanley and my co-host today is the gorgeous Carrie Stanley. Only Stanley's here today, Stanners.
Oh, others, hello everyone. Hello, Joe. I had to laugh when you actually referred to us as the Stanners. I thought, wow, I've never actually been called that before, but it did take me back to my North Queensland roots. And I thought, yeah, that comes out every now and again, especially when I'm tired.
Oh, sure. Yes. Well, we have a fantastic show for you today. Let me tell you what's coming up. It's an exciting day because our phone lines are open. So if you are watching on YouTube Live, apologies if you've been on Facebook, but it's not behaving for us today. So we're on YouTube Live today. If you are watching and listening, you can call us. 1300 8 Broad is the number. 1300 8 Broad, and you can join the conversation. Let us know what you're thinking, feeling, and we just would love to hear from you. It would be amazing.
Love that.
Whilst we're talking about listeners, you are going to be meeting at about 9:30 today Christina, one of our listeners, who is our first Brilliant Broad. This is our way of celebrating the stories and experiences and the resilience and the creativity of your lives. You can nominate yourself or someone that you think needs to be celebrated. Brilliant Broads. And Chrissy is our first Brilliant Broad. She nominated herself for the incredible self-empowerment that she has stepped into, and you are going to love her story. It traverses mental health, menopause, and a male escort. Oh, it's the best story ever. We've loved this, haven't we, Carrie? Also,
yes.
Also, at about 9:50 today, you're going to hear how you can help us contribute and donate to women who would otherwise be facing homelessness. It's a really exciting thing that we're launching today. And, first up, school is back. And that is a really exciting thing for many parents, I've got to say. But it does mean that the juggle is real between work and school and all the different things in our lives. And some of us are losing our minds a little bit. So first up, we're going to be speaking with Carrie Kwan from Mums & Co. to help us out a little bit if we're struggling with the juggle. That's right after this. Broad Radio is proudly supported by Chemist Warehouse. Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day. Carrie, Kez. Hello.
Carrie, it's going to be a bit confusing, isn't it? No, just a Carrie. Kez, if you like.
Kez. Kez, we should mention, if you are watching on YouTube, we'd love you to like and subscribe, of course.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're watching on catch up, you can always throw in some comments. We read everything. We see everything. So, yeah, we love a conversation.
We absolutely do. So, of course, 1300 8 Broad, give us a call if you want to join the conversation as well. Carrie, I'm going to start today by bringing you our most recent poll results. So we run a poll every week. It's our More to Say poll. It gives you an opportunity, if you have more to say, to join our conversation. And this week we asked the question, how are you feeling about school going back? Now, I bet you can predict the response that we got there, Kez.
Yes.
It won't surprise you to know that 73% felt it's time, all good things must come to an end. 73%. 6%, oh, well, they're sad. I can't get enough time with my kids. Yeah. 21% said, so ready, so exhausted. So that means 94% are pretty happy to see the back of their kids at the moment. I remember...
Look, I was going to say, Jo, look, it's been many, many years since I've had that joyful experience of back to school. My kid's being much older now, but it does the PTSD of that back to school is still pretty real, even after all these years.
It's true. There's so much.
I'd just like to know, are you a prepared, that month before you've got your school book list and all of that kind of stuff? Are you that organized to get all that done? Or are you, like me, you do it the day before? Why? I don't know.
Oh, look, I
Where are you at?
I wake up on the morning of and go, oh my God, you've got no lunch. I didn't think. What are you going to eat today? I've got a very tired carrot. There's your brain food. Enjoy that. I mean, I don't know How do parents plan ahead? I don't know. I'm always feeling like I'm behind the 8 ball, and maybe our next guest can help us with that. So Carrie Kwan is the co-founder and of the startup Mums & Co, which is a network of women trying to run businesses while raising kids. I love the term trying to run businesses while raising
That's
kids.
good.
Because we're all just trying. Carrie joins us now. Hi there, Carrie.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hi,
Carrie.
Joe. Hi, Carrie. Great to be here. And congratulations, a radio for women by women. Woo!
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
Well, trying to run a business, that's what we're doing here, Carrie. As we all are.
I love it. I love it.
So you have a huge network of mums that are juggling all of life's challenges, including, running a business. And even if you're not running a business, we all have to earn a buck, and we all have to manage the school and then after school as well, which is the basketball and the swimming and the drama and all of that. And then, of course, there's other family matters like, maybe having a relationship and maybe looking after our parents and all of the stuff. What sorts of things are people juggling? What are you hearing, Carrie?
Yeah, it's a full-on week at the moment. The mental load is peaking. The capacity to I guess have all these competing modes at the moment. So in my household, there's 2 young ones. We've got one that's just started year 1 and the other one's in preschool. And I know, there's lots of firsts there, but there's lots of big emotions for those that are in the older years as well. So I've got lots of older nephews and nieces and, starting primary school and needing, control of their lives and input. Whereas I think with my small ones, it's kind of like, all right, we're doing this and we've got to get going. But all those competing modes at the moment, like you mentioned, we've got highly administrative mode at the moment. So making sure those, they've got something to eat, the school lunches are packed, making sure they've got all the supplies that they need, that that beautiful list that you've been given by the school, making sure that you've got logistics sorted. So, they're getting picked up and dropped off to the gazillion things that in their extracurricular activities and the sports and the music, etc. There's also, the energy that we're spending building a surety and confidence at the moment with our children. So, we want to make sure that they're in the right mindset, and they've got, that if they've got any concerns, we're actually nurturing them through that process. And if it's a new experience for you, like especially for those that are just about to start preschool or just about to start kindy, you're nurturing your own emotions as well. And there's big feelings going on. So I had the big feelings with my youngest just before saying goodbye this morning. They were just waterworks, and you've just got to spend some time helping him process that. And then we've got new routines again. So we are definitely not on holiday anymore. There's no more unlimited screen time, late night movies. Everyone's got to get back into this new routine. And it's a pretty time-pressured routine. Everyone's got to get going to start the day. So, and I guess the other areas around New Year resolutions, which might be going well, or they might, in my case, be waning. There's lots going on at the moment. It's almost like a perfect storm of these competing modes.
I honestly don't know why anybody would set a New Year's resolution, because to me that seems like a complete waste of time.
Lower those expectations from the get-go.
Absolutely.
I'm still trying to achieve the one that I had a few years back, but I think I just repeat it. So anyway, it's it's all year resolution, isn't it? It's not the new year.
I mean, Carrie, that's such great advice. And sometimes it can feel just so overwhelming, can't it? Like when you get your list, you go, yep, I'm going to go tick, 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 tick. Oh, yeah, and kind of get myself organised and ready for life. Any advice that you can also kind of break it down to take away that feeling of it's just way too much?
Look, I think we are doing a lot at the moment because we're ambitious and we care. So I often start with the mindset, and how we look at it in Mums & Co is this: we're trying to get this almost this trinity of well-being, ambition, and livelihood. And we're trying to harmonize all those elements. And I really believe that, perspective is everything. So when you first start, it's these parts are all important to me. I'm not trying to find balance as such. I'm trying to find more that they work together. Those different parts can work together. So that's where I first start. The second part is almost in, I guess, the company that we keep. So, and that's, why we're called Mums & Co. You need to lean on that company. You need to lean on that community. You need to lean on, your partners or your husbands, the village, the neighbours, anyone that is part of your community. We're in this, in that together. So I feel like, don't be afraid to articulate what you need from these people that are amazing, helpers, our grandparents, and, those that are part of your village. We need to articulate what we need from them, and we need to be able to say, hey, can you just help me out with this? Or, hey, can you look after the kids for, this period of time? So don't be afraid to ask and articulate what you need. And then I think the other bit I've been thinking about is I'm a big, you have to get organised. You have to get organised.
Yes.
And I feel like I feel like I'm getting better at it as well. So I've got, the really young kids, and I don't have 3 kids or 4 kids. Oh gosh, the kids those that have more than multiples of kids. Like, you just have to up your organization game. So I love making what I call attention notes. It's not a list, because I don't feel like I have to get through everything, and it captures everything because there's lots going on in my mind. And then I kind of bulk them into literally that: ambition attention notes, livelihood attention notes, and well-being attention notes. And it captures all the things that I want to do and all the things that I want to be able to get through. And then I kind of do one more step, which is I really like to make introductions based on those notes. Mums are great at making recommendations. Like, I know that I can call my sister and she will be able to give me every single tip and advice on the realm of soccer, because she is pro soccer mum. So if she's I want to be able to have someone like her that can help me figure out an organised and advanced plan, because I'm going to miss a date. I'm going to miss the registration date for the local soccer team. So having those attention notes, having them all in one place, and then being able to pull it out when I need to.
I really love what you're highlighting there, Carrie, is being willing to be vulnerable enough to ask for help. Because I think often we feel like we've just got to do everything and no, I'll be fine and I'll get through it. But I learned a few years ago that if I'm not asking for help, then people don't feel like they can ask me for help. They don't feel like there's permission there for that sort of reliance on each other. And that's doing them a disservice. So I think it's really important to allow ourselves to acknowledge I can't do it all, and be vulnerable enough to actually put your hand up and say, hey, can anybody please do this for me? Because I just can't.
I love that element of being vulnerable, but I also think it's really strong. If you actually, I actually think that I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, and there's no way that I can be the, know everything about being a great mum to a currently 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. There's no possible way. So I'm like, okay, great. Who can I learn from? Who can give me their tips? Like, I'm just a sponge for that. And then I pay it forward. Like, if someone's given it to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is what you got to know. Here's the 5-minute rundown. And, and share that information, because we're great at doing it, and we should do it.
Yeah, great, Carrie. And I also loved where you touched on the mindfulness. I know, Joe, we often speak about that too. I just think that's absolute key, because it's like the oxygen mask. You got to put it on yourself first before you can help anybody else. And I think that's absolute key.
Yeah, and some of them needing the whether, again, like we've got very different age children at the moment. Carrie, I think yours is an adult, and Joe, yours is the same as mine, five
No, I've got an 11-year-old. So, yeah,
Oh,
preteen,
11.
which is,
11.
whew, that's fun.
I think back in my teen years, I think they are fun. Like, you're so confident, and you're just willing to, but you don't have, I guess, all the experience, and we're trying to help them navigate that. But yeah, definitely look after yourself first, and then that family follows. So make sure your ambitions are met. Make sure you're looking after your well-being. Make sure that that's in place before we can get hopefully that whole trifecta.
Yeah, I love that it's okay to have ambition in your world, Carrie. There's absolutely no reason to switch off that great desire that's in you to do anything in life, and having children doesn't mean we should switch that off. I have a big tip, which is always, if you want to feel like a success, just lower your standards, because no one actually knows to what level you have set yourself that goal. So it doesn't even matter. And I reminded myself of this when I was at 7 a.m. in Officeworks the other morning, looking for contact because I'd forgotten to contact my kids' books on the first day of school. And then I just had this moment. I'm like, what am I doing here? You are not going to contact books the morning of the first day of school. Just go and get a cup of coffee. No one's going to know. Carrie, thank you so much for that awesome word of advice. I really love it. And we want to wish all of the parents out there dealing with the juggle of school returning this week, try and slow down and enjoy it, because it is a very precious time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Definitely acknowledge that you've got them in the right place. They're confident. They're off on their learning journey. And now sit down, have that cup of coffee or the juice, or, and even just having some 5 minutes to be with wherever you're at before you kind of kick on into business mode or to work mode. So congratulations. Exciting time for all.
Yeah, thanks. That's Carrie Kwan from Mums & Co. Check them out at mumsandco.com.au. You have a great day, Carrie.
Have a great day. Bye.
And you know what? 1300 8 Broad is our phone number, and in just a moment we're going to get someone on the phone, our very first caller. That's very exciting. After this. Well, here we are. 1300 8 Broad is our number. We'd love you to give us a call if you are watching or listening live on YouTube. And Lisa has given us a call. Hi there, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. There she is. Now Now, we did have you on our very first show, and the phones didn't work on that day because this is what happens when you're starting a startup. You start startups sometimes before you're ready to start that startup. And so the technology wasn't with us on that day. I'm trusting that I will be told very quickly by all our little beavers and monkeys out there that keep us up to date with what's going on, if this isn't working. So, Lisa, how are you today? Carrie, can you hear Lisa?
Can't hear. No, I cannot.
Oh.
That's right. Let's go to a single shot of you then, Joe, while you take this call.
Yes.
Because I'll be like this.
I know. Oh, geez. Lisa, how are you going with the juggle of parenting and kids? And I don't know if people can hear. Say hello again, Lisa. Tell us. No, we can't hear the caller. No, Lisa, this is no good. Oh, what a shame. We're gonna say goodbye to you. Okay. Thanks for persisting with us. We'll check in with you every 5 weeks and see if we can. I will pass that on. Thank you, Lisa. I'll speak to you another time. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, Carrie.
Oh, the tech gods.
What am I going to say? These things happen.
I wonder what Lisa was going to say.
Well, Lisa was saying that the juggle is real, but I think every single person who has ever been a parent understands that particular thing. I know. So, Carrie, you've got adult children now. So, what do you remember of that whole juggle with school? And does it get better if your child is an adult?
I remember like going into with Connor, especially going into high school. I just remember the textbooks getting more and more expensive. Like, whoa, like the budgeting side of things, which I was never terribly great at. And in saying that, confession time, Connor is 25 and I'm still paying off his school fees.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I, wanted to send the kids to a private school. Rani went to, we tried a couple of different ones with Rani, but Connor settled on De La Salle. And initially, because I was a single parent for the whole time, and I was able to get some kind of subsidy. It was a Catholic school. But talking about how pride kind of gets in the way of things, so I let it lapse that I was allowed assistance within the school. So we just kept him on. I kept him on in that same school. I didn't want him to move. He was happy there. That was great. And then the bills, they just kept accumulating over 5 years. And so when he graduated, I had a $24,000 bill. Oof. And just went, all right, okay. And so here we are. Like I said, he's 25 now. So I just paid off $100 a fortnight. And I was like, oh, well, such is life. And it's funny, 'cause I know Connor was dealing with he didn't go on to uni, and that was his choice, and absolutely cool. He's a fellow creative like me. He's a hairdresser, and I love that. But he often had that kind of moments of guilt. It's like, you spent all this money on my schooling, and I'm just a hairdresser. I went, just forget that. No, you are more than just a hairdresser. But to me, what does that look like? I said, that was money well spent. You had a great time. You had great friendships, and you had that support. So what? I don't care that I had this to pay off. But I guess, the juggle was the finances side of things that I was not good at personally. So I think, to advice giving out, and the pride was not, I could have gone back to school earlier. I left my role too late. By the time I went, oh no, too bad, this is what it is. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, right. You mean the pride with regards to asking for help from the school, do you mean? Or pride that you felt that you needed
to following it up, because I let the funding side of things go, and I didn't chase it up early enough because I just went, oh no, I can do this. I don't need any assistance. I don't, and I just went, I'll just deal with it later. Like I did with so many things as a single parent, thinking that I was doing the best I could at the time. And
you were doing the best you could at the time. But the thing is, there is so much pressure on parents across the board, and every decision you make, it's very hard to make that decision, whether it's schooling or where you might live, or the choices you make about, the activities they do or anything. It's very hard to make that decision just with your own preference, because there is so much pressure, whether it's from your peers or your parents or society or whatever it is. Yeah. If I could gift anything to anybody who's having a baby, it would be to be able to know your decision is the right decision, and don't worry about what anybody else says or thinks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. There's so many conversations we can have around all of those things, as we will do on Broad Radio, won't we, Jo? Like, there's so many chats to have about so many topics, and that was
absolutely. And I want to say to your son Connor, by the way, there is no such thing as just a hairdresser. Oh my God.
Absolutely not. He's amazing. You know what I love, Jo? When I popped into the salon, and he always introduces me to he's got a fabulous client base, and he introduces me to his clients. Oh, this is my mum. And they always pull me up and go, your son is the most beautiful young man. You should be so proud. I went, yep, there we go.
There you go. And where would we be without our hairdressers? Oh my God. I think that they're almost our most significant relationship in our lives.
Well, during the lockdown of 2020, who was missed the most? The hairdresser.
Absolutely right. So well done, Connor. I must go and meet him. Although, no, sorry, yes. I would not cheat on my own hairdresser, but never, ever, ever. Ever would I cheat on my hairdresser. Jean-Paul, I love you. In just a moment, we're going to introduce you to one of our listeners, Christina, who has nominated herself as a brilliant broad. You can nominate yourself or someone that you love, who we'd like to celebrate because they're resilient or their stories are just amazing. You're going to hear Christina's story of self-empowerment after this.
Whenever we're apart, we miss each other so much. So, please accept this daily dog as a sign of my love for you.
Broad Radio. Talking inspo we love, info we need, and sharing more of us. Watch and listen live every Tuesday 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time at broadradio.com.au or find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and LinkedIn at Broad Radio Oz. Talk to us live. Call on 1300 8 Broad. Catch up on demand anytime, anywhere. Every time, everywhere. On the train, we'll be here. 2 a.m. existential crisis, we've got you covered. Broad Radio, here for more.
If you know someone who you would like to celebrate, why don't you nominate them for our brilliant broads? It might be someone who is particularly courageous, who has an amazing story, someone who's resilient, maybe someone who's been particularly kind, or really they're just a person that needs to be lifted up. Or you could nominate yourself. We would love you to do that. Go to broadradio.com.au and go to the More About You page and nominate a brilliant broad today. Someone who has done that and it has a really amazing story is Christina in Melbourne. Hello, Chrissy.
Hey, how you going?
Hello, Chrissy. I love the fact that you nominated yourself. I mean, your story is really wonderful, and we're really thankful that you're going to share it with us.
Oh, thank you. I just nominated myself because I just felt that for my age, which is 54, I've been through a lot of stuff that a lot of people haven't, and some may have, and I just wanted to share my story to encourage other women.
I love it. It's all about empowering here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jo, you and I have often said that everybody has a story. And Chrissy, I love the fact that you said, yes, you're 54, great age. I'm over 50 myself. Tell us a little bit, or tell us everything about what you want to share with us.
Yeah,
we want to know
mate, it's a story that's years in the making, and we haven't got years. So what? I'll just put it into some context.
Thanks, Jo.
Well, okay.
Sorry, that was too broad.
No, that's okay. But so just a few facts that I'll establish to put you into context, Chrissy. You have a diagnosed mental health illness.
Yes. Bipolar mood disorder.
Yep.
I was diagnosed when I was 21.
And so that's a long time living with that illness. And you've had cancer 4 times as well.
Yes, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's when I was 19. I had breast cancer when I was 45 and 46. And I had bowel cancer when I was 51.
So you're an incredible survivor, and some would think that that's the story, but actually there's more to it. There's so much more to it. And I'm going to jump in at your story where last year you started seeing a new psychiatrist, a totally new person in your life. And that's where the story gets interesting. Tell us what happened.
I started seeing a new psychiatrist, and with that I reduced some of my medications, and that led to something rather weird happening, which was my libido came back. It had been dead for over a decade, as I'd gone through menopause in my 20s, and when I had the breast cancer, they had to take me off my HRT. I didn't really care about it, as I wasn't in a relationship. I didn't want to be in a relationship. But then, surprisingly, it came back, and I didn't know what to do with it.
Well, we can all take matters into our own hands, but I'm guessing you wanted a bit more.
Yeah, well, I did actually buy some sex toys, as you do, and that was fine. But we're all lonely in the 21st century, I think, to a certain degree, and I live alone, and I'm in a situation where most of my friends, I've got 2 groups of friends, and there's one group that they're all married and have children, and so they're pretty busy. And then I've got another group where I used to work, and they're sort of in their 20s, and they're getting at that stage where they're getting married and starting families. And so, I do socialise, but, it's sort of limited with people's time. So I am pretty lonely. I live alone, and I wanted more. And I spoke to a friend who happened to be a minister and also my new psychiatrist, and they suggested a male escort.
Right.
Now,
liberal minister.
I know. I can't believe that.
Love that.
I was blown away. Also, I probably haven't told Joe this. I grew up in a Pentecostal Christian home where the whole idea of having sex before marriage was a big deal, and I didn't lose my virginity until I was 26, where I was just like, gave it away to a guy who I didn't even really like, just because I wanted to give it away. So paying for sex was like, whoa.
Well, it would be for anyone, though. That's a very, it seems like a very confronting thing. But tell us, when you go down that path, is it confronting? How did you go about it?
Well, I Googled, as you do, male escort, and I couldn't believe how many choices there were, quite frankly. And the prices were crazy. But then, I just thought, I'm going to give it a go once and I'm going to see what it's like. And there was one dude whose profile I kept coming back to because he just seemed just not about the sex. He, was like prices for just having an hour for a cup of coffee. And he was like, you don't have to just hire me for sex. I can do your gardening. I can cook you a meal. You can just have a cup of coffee with me and chat about whatever you like. And I was like, oh, this guy sounds really nice. And so I was looking for him and he just kept calling me back. And so he said, drop me an email and just tell me what you're interested in. And so I wrote him an email and I actually told him my situation, which I just explained to you guys. And he wrote back and he said, look, I think I can, help you out with that. So why don't we make a date? So we made a date. But in the email, he said to me, just keep writing to me and let me know anything about yourself you want to tell me and ask me any questions that you want. And so we had this like pen pal relationship until we had to meet, which was a couple of weeks hence. And then I didn't know where we were supposed to meet, if he organised it. Hell, I've never been with a male escort before. And so he said to me, you can book a hotel. And he gave me a website where you can book for day use, which is cheaper than overnight and whatever. So I did all that. And I was pretty sure I was safe. I just had a gut feeling it was okay. But I told my ex-husband and a girlfriend, I said, let you know when I've checked in and when I've checked out. And so I did all that. And then I went there. He texted me when he was in the car park. I didn't really know what he looked like because his photos are sort of disguised because he does modelling work as well. And so when he knocked on the door, I answered the door, and the first thing was just like he had the biggest smile on his face, and he just gave me this bear hug that was just like as if he was a long-lost friend. And it just made me feel so comfortable. And he could tell I was a little nervous. He said, just sit down on the bed and we'll just have a chat. And it was just like, oh, this is okay. This is okay. He's just a nice guy, And then when things started up, it just was like, I don't know. It was just amazing. He kissed me and his lips were so soft. And it was just like, I know how to do this.
So, Christine,
I don't know how much detail you want me to go into.
Well, I'm not sure. We do need to stay online, and I don't want us to get banned because I'm not fully aware of how our restrictions might be around this. But for me, the story is about you choosing to empower yourself, about you going that actually I want to. Firstly, there's no shame in having a really healthy libido at 54. It's an amazing thing that it's returned after so long.
Oh, I'm just like, whoa. I'm as shocked as anyone, but I'm very grateful.
But also, Chrissy, it's a pretty powerful thing for you to make choices in yourself for your own health in that way.
Well, I didn't realise, and I think I said this to you, I didn't realise how much the sexual part of me being dead affected my mental health. Also, the fact that I haven't had children, because, you know, all my friends have had children, and, you know, when my friends would have, and even one of my brothers has got kids, you know, they'd have kids, and I'd kind of like, you know, go and hold them and all that stuff. I'd feel this kind of, not a resentment, but a kind of like, I couldn't do that because I was incapable, because I went through menopause when I was 23. And so I'd feel a bit less than, but it was something I blocked out. But when this happened, and I've never wanted, after my marriage breakup, I've never wanted a relationship. I've like, he was the one, and I'm not interested. And I've never sort of I went online dating for a bit, but I just wasn't interested. And so I didn't realize until I started my relationship with this escort that my femininity had been squashed, and that did affect my mental health, but I didn't know it. I didn't realize how much it affected my mental health. And now that it's come back, I've realized that it was really an important part of my mental health. And that has surprised me, really surprised me.
Oh, that's amazing. Chrissy, I want to know, you just referred to seeing this gentleman as having a relationship with him, which is a really interesting term, I guess, to hear about it. How many times do you actually see him?
I see him about once every 3 weeks. That's as much as I can kind of afford. But I said to him, because I was having a bit of trouble thinking I was going to not be able to pay him when he came. I just saw him last Thursday, and I said to him, and I said, oh, can I, you know, pay you by bank transfer the following day? But then I was able to get the cash together, and I said to him, I'm going to make a rule that if I can't pay you in cash on the day, then we're just going to cancel the appointment, because I don't want to get to this stage, because I'm only on a disability pension, and I don't want to get to the stage where I'm saying, oh, I'm going to pay you the next day or whatever, because I just don't want to do that. So I'm having a birthday at the beginning of March. I was supposed to see him in 3 weeks in Feb, and I said I'm cancelling that because I want to have an extended session for my birthday. So I'm not going to see him in 3 weeks. I'm going to have an extended session in 6 weeks for my birthday.
Good birthday. That's a good birthday.
It's going to be a great birthday. I'm not going to use the word that I described in the email to say I'm cancelling Feb. But yeah, it's really dependent on my budget and what's happening with bills and stuff like that, because, you know, it's really saving my pennies to put this into my life. And I said to him, you know, if I could get back all the money I spent on crap therapy and medications that were useless to pay for this. Wow.
Sounds like money well spent. This man, he sounds like a good investment.
Absolutely.
Yes, it definitely is. He actually calls himself the love doctor because he is the longest serving, I don't know if that's the right term, male escort in Melbourne. Because he's 33 and he's been doing this for 11 years. It's the only job he's ever had.
Oh, well, he's clearly very good at it.
From a really young age.
Particularly
if he wanted to do.
Well, particularly if he's offering to do the garden as well, which to me
makes
him it's very appealing to me.
He's always felt like it was his calling to help women.
So
you want him to do the hedge.
We all need a little bit of attention on the hedge.
If you go to his website, he's got a ton of reviews, and if you read them, a lot of them say, I don't really want to write this review because I don't want other people to find out about him, because I want him all for myself.
So, Chrissy, unfortunately, we can't keep talking all day about this as much as I would love to. I want to hear from you one little piece of advice to a woman who may be listening to this or watching this and thinking, you know what, I feel completely disconnected with this part of myself. I mean, a male escort is not always going to be right for everybody, but
no, of course not.
But women of, you know, sort of 45, 50 plus, 60 plus, we do tend to lose that connection with that side to ourselves. Have you got any sort of words of wisdom or piece of advice around that?
Well, I would say just start reconnecting with yourself, and like a lot of women wouldn't even think of masturbating, and for me that was a start because I hadn't even done that for years and years, and that was good for me, but I really needed more of the physical connection.
Chrissy, thank you so much for sharing your story of self-empowerment. It's very inspiring.
Great
my
story,
pleasure.
Chrissy.
Seeking out a way of being satisfied for yourself.
I just missed half of that joke because there was no sound coming through. So
I am celebrating. I'm celebrating Chrissy's unbelievable strength and courage in just not even listening to the stigma that sits around seeking a way of being happy and healthy.
yeah, love that. As you said, Joe, we could talk for hours with her about what she's going through. I guess one question I wanted to get to, which we didn't, we couldn't do for time wise, was, how does Chrissy see it? Does she see, because the word relationship came up as we mentioned, and does she have feelings for him in that sense, not just not just from the sexual side of things, but is she, falling for him?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm really curious about that. How does one disassociate, having the emotional connection as well as, the physical one?
but I guess
It's a difficult thing.
It's similar to having a friend with benefits, I suppose, which many people do successfully in different ways. Yeah.
However that looks,
Yeah, however that does look. But what a wonderful thing to be able to say, this is right for me, and I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah,
And we
love it. Absolutely.
celebrate that.
More power.
Absolutely. Now, Carrie, we've unsuccessfully tried to have calls on the show today.
We were so excited by it. We're like, yes, call in. But you know what? Technology, when it works, it's amazing. But when it's not, oh, well, we'll try later.
Do you know
what,
what, though?
Still comment, though, people.
We're going to give it. We absolutely love it when you comment on YouTube. Do make sure you can let your fingers do the talking. Absolutely.
Yes.
We're going to try again though, because fortune favors the brave. Okay.
Let's go.
But this time around we have wonderful Cess, who is our content producer. She's calling in just to see how we go with the phone lines. I can hear Cess. Hello. Carrie, can you hear Cess?
No.
Oh,
no.
It is such a disappointment. Technology. I can only assume that people are hearing me talk to myself right now, Cess, so I'm going to say goodbye to you because enough of the voices in my head. Goodbye. Have a good day. No.
Oh, then you got to try. Joe, I wanted to ask you. We spoke earlier to Susan about her situation with women's housing and
we're going to get to Susan in a minute. We're going to get to Susan in a minute.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah. So this is what I was about to bring up, Carrie. We began our journey of Broad Radio determined to partner with a charity. And we looked into all the different, there are so many amazing charities doing incredible things out there. And so we were determined to sort of start right from the beginning with a charity that was specifically for women, but especially for women over, say, 40. And that led us to understanding that homelessness is a real threat for women, particularly over 55. Women over 55 are the fastest growing group of homeless people in Australia. And then there's lots of reasons for that, isn't there, Carrie?
Yeah, there is. I mean, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, it's things like unemployment is very high for women over a certain age. It's women fleeing family violence. It's women who are perhaps new to being single, they've left a relationship and they haven't got the finances around them to care for them. There's so many different reasons. So that led us to Women's Housing Limited, who are an extraordinary organisation that provide low-cost housing for women. Now, the thing is that government funding does provide the building. Government funding allows them to build the housing, but a home is more than a roof over your head, of course. So Women's Housing Limited relies on donations for really beautiful things like programs that assist women to kind of rebuild their lives. So education programs, well-being programs, art programs, gorgeous ways of connecting with them with their community, and also really basic things like toiletries or refurbishing a house or toys and books for kids, really important things for these women. So they rely on donations for that. And as we are partnering with Women's Housing Limited, they are our foundation charity, we've decided to launch today a really simple campaign whereby if you are a new subscriber to our newsletter, if you want to join our newsletter database so that we can send you a little newsletter every week, just giving you an update of what we're doing, we will donate for every new subscriber to our newsletter on the website. We will donate the cost of a coffee. $5.
Amazing.
Yeah. For the next 2 weeks. So we'd love you to join us on our newsletter subscription list. And you could share that with your mates as well. And the more, of course, the more people that join, the more donations that are coming our way.
Share the love, people.
Yeah, that's right. You also can donate as well if you wish to Women's Housing Limited. We really encourage you to do that. So I wonder what kind of women might find themselves in a Women's Housing Limited property. We're going to find out after this. Now, I think that people often have an image of what they think someone who might need housing assistance might look like or might be like. But perhaps that person isn't what you imagine. So we're really pleased to welcome from Women's Housing, she's a tenant in a women's housing property, Susan. Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Now,
Lovely to speak to you.
Oh, it's really lovely to have you with us on Broad Radio. Can you explain to us how you found yourself living in a women's housing property?
Well, that was never going to be me. I was very self-sufficient, very successful. And then due to difficulties in my life at one stage, I gave up some work to look after my parents, some freelance work I continued to do. That dried up. I had to move to Brisbane to look after my father. Things got harder then. I came back, had some jobs in retail. It was about all I could find. That dried up. And then at the age of 60-something, I found myself unemployable, no money coming in, and I had an apartment that I was paying $1,600 a month for. And just, I don't know how I kept those balls in the air. So I was so fortunate. I heard through a friend about women's housing. Again, I never thought that was for me. I thought that was for people in real need. But they absolutely saved my bacon. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I really think the next step was homelessness. And that was never, as I said, that was never going to be me. You always imagine it's these women, maybe their husbands have left them and they've got children and they're trying to struggle on their own, not someone who's had a very successful career. But you just don't realise it could be you at any stage. Just a few bad breaks, and that's how close you can be to homelessness.
Susan, did you find that you didn't ask for help for a while? Was there any pride behind that? Because you're, as you said, a very self-sufficient woman. And then to find yourself in these circumstances, did that hold you back in the beginning?
Definitely, because I felt like I was a failure if I had to ask for help. Plus, I really didn't know where to go because I'd never been a part of any of the system in that way, so that I didn't know what resources were potentially available for me, what I could qualify for in the way of help. And then, yes, it was like, I felt like maybe I'd be giving up on myself if I did try to seek out some kind of help.
What would have happened, do you think, if you didn't discover women's housing?
I really don't know. I really don't know. Because I was literally living hand to mouth when I got in touch with them, I don't know. I can't imagine it. Like as I said, I never imagined myself having to find somewhere to live, let alone like 60 unemployed and no chance even being highly employable, no chance even of being able to find a job doing anything. So I don't know. I can't picture myself as that homeless person, but I can't see what else I would have done.
And I do know that
yeah.
Well, I know that you told me that you were doing everything you possibly could to stay in the flat that you were in, like you had been, all of your resources pretty much.
Oh, I did. I went through different times because I had some fabulous clothes, because I have fabulous taste, which I still have. But I was selling clothes. I was selling clothes. I was selling my jewelry. I was selling CDs, for God's sake. Like, luckily it was that time and not now, where I'd be getting nothing for them. At least I was getting $1 for a CD back then,
Yeah.
So Susan, was it
literally I was selling my clothes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was about to say, was it a fairly lengthy process to get you into the accommodation, or did it happen fairly quickly once the ball got rolling?
I was amazed because over the years, like recent times, then people were saying to me, "Why don't you put your name down for housing commission?" And again, I thought that's for people who really need it. Like, that I can't take that resource away from people who really need it. Crazy. And then I found out about women's housing, and then I filled in the application form, and it was actually relatively quick. So they recognised I was pretty desperate. So it matter of maybe even a month. I was so lucky. The timing was just right. Somebody had moved out. I was so lucky. So it was like 2 days after my birthday. I thought I'd call them for my birthday present to myself. I hadn't heard, so I called them, and then I got to inspect the apartment the next day, burst into tears, and living happily ever after.
And I understand, Susan, that it's now your forever home. Once you're in a women's housing property, that's you now. You're sorted. You've got that security.
That is life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Living all that time not knowing what I was going to do or how I could keep a roof over my head. This is mine for as long as I want it, till I die, and nobody can take it away from me. Nobody can take it. It's my home. That changes your life, that knowing you've got a home, no matter how your circumstances change again, I have a home.
That's an enormous sense of relief, I can imagine.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how I did it, but the difference is like immeasurable. I was living under such stress for so long that that was normal for me, and I just can't believe the difference in me now. I'm even more amazing than I was.
You did say you were 60, and I'm like, you don't look it, girl.
Then I was 66 now, 66 66. And I prefer to say I'm nearly 70,
Count it up.
Exactly.
So, Susan, what kinds of women are you sharing the apartment block with? What other sorts of women might find themselves in a women's housing property?
You would be amazed. It was the biggest eye-opening experience of my life, because you have a preconceived notion. Well, I do, and I've found a lot of people do, of who's going to be found in sort of some supported housing situation, and subsidised housing, and the number of degrees like blowing around in this group of women in the women's housing, women who've perhaps they've lost their husbands and their families have grown up, and they've had mental health issues, perhaps depression, or they've experienced family violence, or difficulties with family members, and then all of their options seem to have been closed off. It's not just people who have seen as a typical. It's the more and more. It's the middle class poor, which is a whole new growing demographic that really we're going to have to be dealing with on a very large scale into the future. Well, that's my doom and gloom. Sorry.
No, but we are hearing more conversations about that, aren't we? Women finding themselves, I guess, in financial situations where they have not been prepared for that. I mean, that's a whole other big conversation that thankfully we will be having in the future. Yeah, it's definitely, we need to be talking about that.
Yeah, you're right.
And things like they might have. Yeah. They might have gone out of their work, say, to start a family. So, the problems, there's no superannuation coming in. Maybe the marriage breaks up. They don't have anything to fall back on. And just things can snowball from there.
Yes.
For anyone.
Yeah. And what you say too, Susan, is that for some reason, women particularly, but I think it's all genders, find themselves over a certain age, no one will employ them, which just breaks my heart because the wealth of experience and knowledge that we're missing out on, because
it's insane, and that's got repercussions, economic repercussions ongoing as well. That's another ripple effect, and it's not going to be a good one. Like the resources, the experiences being lost because of that attitude is crazy, and it has economic effects. So it's all very sad, but let's hope we can learn now and just, and ways to look at building on that resource we have that isn't being exploited, which is the genius geriatric.
Yeah, there are lots of genius geriatrics out there.
That. Well, yeah. I'm actually a secret genius because apparently I'm the only one that realizes I'm a genius. So, yeah.
Susan, you said you were doing a little bit of freelancing a while ago. Are you finding yourself doing any kind of work just for, for some self-love?
Once you're out of the loop,
when you're working?
once you're out of the loop with that, and that happened really when I moved up to Brisbane. Just kill me now. To look after my dad. That was like the least fun you can have with your pants on. Oh, it was awful. So anyway, just got out of the loop there. And of course, now you've got to be 12 years old and like digitally insane to, be part of any kind of writing community, advertising or whatever. So, and look at what they do now. There's no brain or interest or story or anything behind it. Everything's disposable.
Well, it's a different world for those of us in a different generation. But Susan,
what you say, us? You'll get there, girl. You've maintained your sense of humour. You've still got your sense of humour, and that's important.
That's true.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you do look fabulous, and we're very pleased that you joined us on Broad Radio to give us an insight into exactly the kinds of people that are seeking housing. As you say, it's not what we imagine. There are many different kinds of reasons that women will find themselves needing Women's Housing Limited, which is why Broad Radio is partnering with Women's Housing as our charity, as our partner, a charity partner, we should say. Thanks, Susan. You have a great day.
I'd like to thank you and say good luck with Broad. I love what you're doing, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Susan. You take care.
Have a great. Thanks, Susan.
You too. Love you to me.
Oh, well, yes, Susan was amazing, and we love that she joined us, and we would like you, please, if you feel like helping us donate and raise money for Women's Housing Limited, how about you head over to broadradio.com.au and you can join our email newsletter subscriber list. Just click the subscribe button, and we're going to donate a cost of a coffee, so $5 for every new one we get for the next 2 weeks. Please join us. It'd be lovely to have you as a part of our little community there online. Carrie, it's been a gorgeous day to have you on Broad Radio.
Thank you. What did you call us? The Stanners.
The Stanners. Don't you get called Stanner? I was like, g'day, Stanner. Oh.
No. I get Keza. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, of course. You can.
Thanks so much for having me. Great day.
It's a delight to have you as well, darling, and we'll see you again soon. Of course, you can like and subscribe on YouTube or follow us on and like us on Facebook.
Comments.
Yes. Yeah, comments, absolutely. And we'll be back with Broad Radio 9 a.m. next Tuesday. You guys have a great week.
Take care.